She used the word malignant, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know if it's good or bad.
And how the people learn from that person is by seeing them losing their assets, selling their vehicles, selling their property.
Explaining to a 1.5-year-old that I can't pick him up, I can't play with him, I can't throw him a ball, I can't.
I'm going to ask this straight. Do you think you will even be sitting here today if you had no cover?
I always feel that if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your family. There are people that love you and that want you around. Oh, what a question. Loaded.
Are you listening? Damn.
Kalika, first of all, thank you very much for being here today. I respect the fact that you're willing to share your journey, and I'm privileged that I can be part of it, and hopefully together we can raise some awareness with our efforts today.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know, Kalika is my client and recently got diagnosed with cancer. But before we get into your whole journey and what you went through, let me first start it out to ask you, before the diagnosis, what was life like? Please introduce yourself, just explain a little bit about your circumstances then.
So my name is Karika Bakker. I have an almost 3-year-old son, happy, work hard, play hard. Every free moment is spent to make memories with my little family. And no issues, no worries, nothing out of the ordinary. So life was good.
Life's normal.
Yeah, normal.
Okay. And would you say from a health perspective, would you say that you had a clear bill of health, pretty much all normal?
Yes, I've always had asthma, but growing up with it, it's not an issue. It just becomes part of your life. So you always take it into account. But other than that, yes. Obviously, I could have exercised more, or there's always the could have, should have, but it is what it is.
Guilty as well. It's close down. So tell me, what made you go for a test? How did we get to the point where we find out this is now the result?
So you wanted to change one of my policies to move it over. I had a sister that had muscle dystrophy in the 80s and she passed away. So the company wanted to ensure that I don't show any signs. So I was sent for a full medical. While I was at the GP's office, she sent me for a breast sonar because my mom had breast cancer in 2010, just because they'll request it. She said, we either do it now or in 2 weeks' time when they request it. And that's how it started.
Okay. So it's fair to say it was sort of a little bit coincidental that you had to go through it. It was not through your own efforts
No,
or anything
I
like
didn't
that.
find a lump. There was no suspicious symptoms or signs. It was pure coincidence.
Okay. All right. And then maybe walk us through that exact moment where you got the call, you found out you have cancer.
I was at work in the boardroom. It was a Monday afternoon. My phone rang and I saw it was the GP. So I stood up, gave a nod to my colleagues, and then took the call in the corridor. It's so weird how your mind works, because in the moment I didn't realize what she was saying was that it is cancerous, because she used the word malignant, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know if it's good or bad. She said, it is bad news. Are you okay? She wanted me to see her the following day, the Tuesday afternoon. So I hung up, went back into the boardroom, and then waited to tell my colleagues. Yeah, so they were the first to know.
Okay.
Martin and Erika, they were with me in the boardroom, and I just said, well, it is what it is. They were dumbstruck and obviously didn't want to believe it. But yes, so it was the moment we had to decide whether to lay back or to take action.
Yes. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So now you have to go home. You obviously have to tell your husband, your parents. What was that like? Who did you tell first, and what was it like telling your closest people?
I told didn't want to, but I told my husband when I got home. He didn't take it well at all, especially with our son that was 1.5 years old at that stage. To him, the prospect of me not being part of their future was very intimidating and scary, and he was very upset. So that was a process to work with him to get through it. My parents, on the other hand, I didn't tell them. They've already lost 2 kids before me, so I knew that I need to have all my facts in order before I break the news so that I can give them facts once they start asking questions, because that's what they like. And I think I waited until I knew when I was going in for surgery almost. So I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks until no, it must have been a week later that I only phoned up my parents. I didn't have the guts to tell them in person. So I was at the office, phoned them, told them this is the situation and the plan forward. So it was, most difficult was to tell them.
Okay. Share a story where there was a moment where you broke down, because somewhere, I'm assuming, once you received that news, there's the breakdown moment, and then we transition into the, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to fight this thing.
Yes.
So maybe share one or two events that happened there.
Ironically enough, I want to say little meltdown wasn't when I received the news that I had cancer. It was long before that. So I went for the breast scan. The radiologist found calcification in my left breast, and he referred me to have a mammogram. And the moment I walked out of their rooms, I burst out in tears. I knew there was reason. They won't send a 35-year-old for a mammogram if there wasn't cause for concern. So there, I had a very good cry. But I must say, in preparation, since that day, I started Googling and reading blogs on Pinterest about mastectomies, about treatments, about recovery times, people's, I want to say, interpretations thereof and how they worked through it. So by the time that I received the diagnosis, I was at peace. I knew it was coming. So it didn't come as a shock at that stage.
Okay, and then the bull by the horns. How did that happen?
I think the moment was when my husband and I, so got the call on the Monday, I have cancer. Saw the GP Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I went to see the plastic surgeon. I had 2 types of cancer, let me tell you that as well. So 2 types of cancer in my left breast, ductal carcinoma in situ, which means it's in the milk ducts leading to the nipples, and then also in the tissue, invasive carcinoma. So it was spreading quite aggressively. So the plan was I need to have a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction as soon as possible. We can't wait to have treatment first because it might spread further by that time. So saw the doctor on the Tuesday, the Wednesday I saw the plastic surgeon, and he sat us down, had the most amazing chat, 2.5-hour consultation with him. He went through all the steps, the history, why he's recommending this procedure. And after that, I was like, hell's yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
So now that there's a plan, let's do it. Let's get rid of it. Let's get healthy. There's a whole life to live. So I think that was my moment.
Okay, so that had to happen first, and then there's obviously the treatment component about it. What was the hardest physical as well as emotional challenge throughout the treatment period?
Throughout the treatment, with the operation first.
Welcome.
That was difficult. I had to, remain, reserved and in my place, quiet. I had to be a patient for 6 weeks after the operation. And now I was 1.5 years old. So explaining to a 1.5-year-old that I can't pick him up, I can't play with him, I can't throw him a ball, that was very, very testing. Physically, obviously it hurt, but the pain meds is great, so it helps. But emotionally as well, I felt guilty for not being able to contribute. I couldn't help with the household chores. I couldn't work. My self-worth was definitely not in a good place at that stage. But you always have to keep in mind what it's for, or what the reason or the motivation for it was, and that's what kept me going. Regarding chemo, I received 15 rounds of chemotherapy and then 12 rounds of hormone blocker injections because my cancer was hormone driven. And during that, physically, it was a nightmare. I went in there thinking I'm going to have it so easy. I'm 30, 40 years younger than the other patients in there that I saw. But it was everything but. From rashes, body aches, headaches. I had neuropathy where I couldn't wear closed shoes for months because my nail beds were so sensitive. I couldn't sleep properly. Luckily, I didn't have the ulcers and the weight loss and a lot of other symptoms that other patients have. but it was draining. I was even hospitalized last year November because of my low white blood cell count, and it's not something I saw coming at all because I'm healthy, I'm young. So it was physically, it was very, very tough, and emotionally, it's just, I don't know, I want to say, you start doubting yourself, kind of, you lack of confidence almost. You're so wrapped up in a bubble where you feel protected and comfortable that the moment you walk out of there, you don't feel you belong anymore because no one else understands, no one can relate, no one. People give advice, but they don't really know what they're talking about. I know it comes from a good place, but so there's always this constant uncertainty, almost emotionally.
Okay. Back to that bubble that you lived in. So it almost sounds like at some stages throughout the journey, it would have been better to deal with this alone, but you also obviously need the support of your closest people. So how did it change your relationships with the various role players, the most important people, your son, your husband? How did it change it?
Oh, what a question, loaded. Well, yes. To be honest, it would have been easier alone. People from the outside, especially the people close to you, don't believe you when you say you're fine, when you're okay. Patients, this bubble is, you've got a plan, there's a treatment plan, there's a structure, there's routine. You go in every single week, they see you. You go for your blood tests, you know everything's fine. But they're so stressed, they're riddled with uncertainty. My husband really suffered. Obviously, he wants to protect me, he wants the best for me, and he found it difficult that I was fine, I was okay. I looked forward to going each week because I was seeing new people. I was meeting people of all walks of life, people that I would have never otherwise had the opportunity to have a chat with and to hear their life story. We could relate symptoms, we could give each other advice. And when I tell him I'm well, I'm really doing well, it was like, no, but you must be in denial. It's going to hit you later. You're going to, but the people closest are so stressed out and concerned for your well-being that you as a patient end up feeling that you need to take care of them instead of the other way around. And I want to say, being an Afrikaans South African girl, we grow up very independently. So during that process, having to learn to adjust, to be more dependent on your husband, your family and friends close to you to give you a lift to the doctor's office because you're not allowed to drive, or to help you hang up the washing because you can't lift your arms. It was quite difficult, and for me to allow them to help me was very, very testing. So our relationships were tests on various levels. With my son, amazingly enough, they're so agile. It is ridiculous. We shaved off my hair. He helped. He took me to the hospital when I went for the operation. He's never looked at me differently a day in my life. He's seen my new version of my body, and he's never asked questions. He's never doubted. It's never been scary to him. So he just embraced it, and it's as if he treats me with more love and compassion since then, which is admirable.
Definitely. So that's the other people now, the role players. So what surprised you about yourself during this journey?
That through it all, I was able to serve as a beacon of hope to others. I planned all these wonderful head wrappings and scarves and hats, and beforehand, so before you shave your hair, you're like, oh, it's going to be so cool, I'm gonna make the best of it, and I just couldn't wear it. I'm not used to wearing things on my head, so I was bold. I stayed bold, and that's the way it was. And various times, especially in the treatment rooms at the oncology center, a few ladies walked up to me and they're like, I'm so glad, you look so beautiful, and I've wanted to do it for so long because my hair's thinning and I have nothing left, but I've never had the guts or the confidence to do it, and now I feel I can. If you can do it, I can do it. And it's without even trying. There was no gesture, there was no thinking, planning. I actually feel that I helped some people out, or just being able to walk in with a smile when someone needed it the day they had an off day. It's a privilege to be able to be there for someone.
Okay, so going through cancer and what specifically you went through, obviously has the emotional side, has the physical side, but we can't ignore the financial side of this. So if I were to ask you, and again, a bit awkward, I'm a financial planner and I have to ask you this question, but what was your attitude or almost how did you look at things like medical aid, critical illness, income protection, all these sorts of covers to help out during a time like this, but before the diagnosis? What was your attitude around that?
I want to say luckily good.
Okay.
Regarding medical aid, obviously I'm sure we've all felt the same. Each year that medical tax certificate comes in and you think, I'm wasting my money, I'm not using it, I need to cancel it, it's such a waste of time, I could have done so many things with all this money. And then, but then once you realize you live in the country we do and you can't rely on state hospitals or public health care as much as you'd like, I've always known that even if you have to cut on other things, medical aid wasn't that one, just for the what if. Regarding income protection and critical illness cover, we have a lot of cancer in our family. So I always suspected that I'll get it. It's just a case of when and what, but obviously 70, 80, didn't think now. So that was what I had it in mind for, was for one day when we're old and retired and it happens, that there's some cover. And then with the other plans, I want to say luckily I had a good advisor that could guide me in the right direction beforehand. So luckily that was in place.
Okay. Because it sometimes, to me, in my experience, what I've learned with is urgency levels goes up when something has already happened to you, or in your case, you've seen it in your family.
Yes.
Okay. That's not always the case. So some people go through it where the urgency level is quite low. They might be young,
Yes.
they might be fit,
Yeah.
they might be eating healthy. What's your message to those people?
Specifically cancer, it doesn't choose. It doesn't choose an age. It doesn't choose a race. It doesn't. A lot of people are healthy, they're fit, they do all the right things according to the book and they still get it. It might be because they have a genetic predisposition, but you're not aware of it until you get tested. So my personal view is rather check things out earlier than later. In our country, we tend to ignore things until it's a problem because it's easier to deal with then. Why go dig up something if it's not an issue now? But I feel that you're gonna regret it at a later stage, and you're gonna blame yourself if you don't think or plan ahead.
So I'll share a story with you that sort of stayed with me from the beginning of my career. So when I started about 11, 12 years ago, I was in a conference hall and we were in induction, so it's just young advisors, about 50, 60 young advisors. And obviously there's various subjects that happened that day, but the guy that spoke about long-term insurance and specifically critical illness, he came on stage, he didn't introduce himself. He said, by show of hands, now remember we're a room of 40 to 50, 60 people, right?
Yeah.
It's like, by show of hands, whose immediate family, friends, or really anybody that's close to you had no interaction with cancer before? And guess how many hands came up? 0. And he said, if you think that's scary, this is his 8th year in a row where he did that and 0 hands came up. And that was sort of, because he sort of
Turning
alluded
point.
to, if you want to make a difference with this new venture you're embarking
Yes.
onto in financial planning, this is the place where you make a difference and where people will be the most grateful for you.
Yes.
It's not the percentage returns. This is where you
Where it
obviously make the
matters.
biggest difference. So in your journey, I know that you've mentioned you've had sufficient cover, you had medical aid. Were there any financial difficulties? Is the first part of the question. And the second part is, let's pretend that you had nothing. And I'm going to ask this straight. Do you think you will even be sitting here today if you had no cover, no medical aid, no nothing whatsoever?
I'm going to start with your last question now. Well, I might have been sitting here, but I want to say in a much worse state, physically and mentally. If I may compare it, one of my colleagues doesn't have medical aid, and she had a lump removed in September last year at a public hospital. She received feedback in May that it was cancerous. Then she had to
And
wait.
you were a couple of days. Sorry for
Mine,
interrupting.
mine
It
was
days.
from
It's-
diagnosis. Within 2 weeks, I received my surgery. Within 2 weeks, I received my surgery and I knew it hadn't spread. Then they only started testing her thyroid glands to see if it spread, if she'll need radiation, and if it was a more aggressive cancer, she wouldn't have stood a chance. So in that light, I want to say I might not have been here. And there's no use in waiting until 40 for me. I wouldn't have made 40 to go for a mammogram until the age that they require. But no, I think I would have been a wreck. I don't know if my relationship with my husband would have been what it is now. There are a lot of expenses, from blood tests, biopsies, genetic testing, the scans, that your medical aid can only provide as much as it does, or it only covers up to a certain extent, obviously. And a lot of medication and once comfort doesn't fall within those bounds. So you are out of pocket at a stage, and if there's no backup plan, it is stressful.
I want to pick up from that to say that I always say there's two different people in life. So there's the one that learns from the person making the mistake. And then there's the one that made the mistake. And in this case, the mistake would be to not have any of those provision. And how the people learn from that person is by seeing them losing their assets, selling their vehicles, selling their property, wiping out their entire life savings. You do not want to be that person.
Yes.
I think that's part of, yes, there's the treatment. Yes, there's the emotional side. There's the physical side. But unfortunately, the financial side and the provision for the financial side cannot be ignored. I want to move on to a bit of a more positive note. Where are we today?
So I'm in remission. I am on a 5-year hormone blocker, which is interesting. But no, doing well, happy, healthy. I want to say in a better place than I was before my diagnosis, to be quite frank. I think
Okay. So day to day is...
day-to-day, normal activities, nothing out of the ordinary. I am a bit more tired than I was before, but I appreciate life more. I live more intentionally, and I think that might be the greatest lesson that I've learned throughout this process.
Okay. So would you say that's sort of the... What's your biggest takeaway from the process? So how has your life changed where, let's call it weeks or months before you got the news, to how you're exactly living life now? Has it changed quite a bit? I see there's something in the smile, so tell me.
I'll probably get in trouble, but I avoid people that don't bring positivity to my life. I just decided that I'm not going to entertain people constantly dragging me down for what?
I think you should send me a list of those notes or paste them here just to solidify that. Please go on.
I've fixed my boundaries a lot better, and I don't do things if I don't want to. If there's no good reason for it, or if it's going to upset me at a later stage, then why bother to please other people?
Okay, happy with that. So I'll share a stat with you quickly, and I want your opinion on it. So 1 out of 8 females stand the risk to get cancer during their lifetime. 1 out of 7 males. Okay, and a common phenomenon is that people think it's a disease for older people, right? First of all. So specifically to the younger demographic watching this, what is your message to them?
If you notice anything odd, anything strange, any changes to your body, you need to know your body first of all to realize if there is anything different. But if you notice anything, go get it checked out. We live in a day and age where there is healthcare, there are specialists that can help you if something is wrong. But if you say you wait 3, 5, 6 years, it might be too late. If that's the path you want to take, by all means. But if you are planning a future, if you have things you look forward to, just have it checked out. There's no use in looking back in 10 or 20 years' time and then wishing you had done it differently.
Sure. How would you say this process changed your mission and purpose in life?
I talk about what happened to me everywhere. Once my hair started growing, people would walk up to me and they're like, "Oh, I love your haircut." And I was so quick to rectify them. I've been growing it for 3 months.
Okay.
Thank you. It's like no cut involved. And this is why. So I can't help but share my story because it feels as if, even if it just makes a difference in one person's life or makes them more aware, or that they actually agree to go for the mammogram that they should have done 4 years ago. You might not want to be a burden to them if you find something, but place yourself in their shoes for a moment.
So what I'm going to try and do with this series, and as I bring on more guests, is to ask the last guest to leave a question for the next one, so nobody would know. But seeing that you are the first guest, my question to you is, what belief do you have about success that you no longer carry, that you no longer believe in anymore? How did this change that?
Good car, healthy, happy, that's the picture perfect. Living abundantly, not having to worry about things, not having to cut corners. But I think now success to me looks like waking up in the morning. I mean, hearing that alarm clock go off. But I think now success to me looks like waking up in the morning. I mean, hearing that alarm clock go off, jumping out of bed, being able to kiss the people you love good morning, giving them a hug, spoiling the people you love, even if it's with a flower that you pick up on the side of the road. I feel success is what you make of it. So to me, life is a success. I don't know, at the moment, I just feel happy. I just feel grateful and content. Maybe contentment is the right word.
Okay. From my side, again, thank you very much. I think you're an awesome person, and I think it's great that you wear what happened to you as a badge of honor and not try and hide it. Keep spreading it and far and wide and as much as you can. Last, just from your side, what is one sentence, one thing from this video that people should take and remember? So I'm going to end with you.
I'll just say, if you decide to fight cancer, do it. It's like, yeah, just don't give up. You can't give up. Once you commit to fight it, you've got to push through and you've got to come out on the other side, and you'll surprise yourself of what you're capable of.